Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video I'm going to talk about the budget Les Paul copy that continues to get so much attention and so much hype. I'm talking about the Firefly FFLP. Now this guitar, and I'll talk a little bit later in the video about where to find them, when they're available, and my thoughts on pricing. Now first I need to give a very special shout out to the person that gave me this guitar. It was a gift from a very long-time friend of the channel. He's got his own YouTube channel called Stratocaster Bob, where he's got a ton of classic rock guitar performances in his own collection of guitars, which are really cool. So I'll put a link down below if you want to go check him out. Now, Bob had reached out to me a couple weeks ago and said, hey, I want to send you one of these Firefly Les Paul copies as a gift, and also wanted to know my thoughts on them. He owns one too. And of course I was very flattered and honored and couldn't say no to that. So about a week later, this one showed up. And the first thing that I noticed when I pulled it out of the box, of course, is this really cool lizard, green burst finish, but also the weight. I mean, this thing weighs 9 pounds. It feels like a real Les Paul. It's very solid. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into the specs. All right, so the body, just like a real Les Paul, it's mahogany, but instead of your typical maple top, we've got a maple veneer. That said, I think it looks really good. Now, don't expect for this price range a really lush looking, book matched, maple top. Again, this is a maple veneer, but I think it looks really good. And it does come in lots of different finishes. This one is the green lizard burst. And honestly, it's funny because I'm usually not a fan of very profound bursts on guitars. I like the burst to be a little more subtle. But when Bob said he was sending me one of these guitars, he said he wanted the finish to be a surprise, but he thought I'd like it. So I went onto their website and I was looking at the most recent models, and I saw this one, and I was like, ooh, I hope it's the lizard burst, and sure enough it was. But again, I think it looks really cool. Here's a little picture of the back here. You can see a little bit darker finish on the back on this particular one. You can see the grain through there. Looks kind of cool. The neck is also mahogany. It is a set neck, as you would hope and expect. Now, I did see another one of these in a different video where they had a special little more accessible cutaway here, but this is the more traditional kind of set neck look to it and design. The fretboard is rosewood. We've got 22 frets, nickel frets. I haven't measured them, but they feel like medium jumbo to me. The inlays are some sort of synthetic, like perloid or something like that, but they look fine. And hey, you're not going to get mother of pearl on a guitar at this price range, and even 2 or 3 times this price range, right? We've got binding around the body. The binding on the body is really clean. Now the binding on the neck, I do notice some cosmetic little blemishes, little splotches here and there, which could be residue from glue or something. I'm not complaining. It's rather nominal. We do have, and there was, and there is a little bit of kind of white residue in the grain here up near between the nut and the first fret. Again, I think it's some glue residue or something, but it doesn't really impact the playability, and I'll probably end up trying to polish it out or brush it out. But again, minor aesthetic type of thing. Again, for this price point, I'm not expecting everything to be super perfect anyway. It is a bone nut, actual bone nut, which is great at this price range. The tuners are these little kidney style tuners, which seem to work fine. I know some people, I think Bob had replaced his, and I know some others have. They seem to work fine for me. And then we've got like a Tune-O-Matic style bridge. We've got their own pickups, I assume. Again, at this price range, it's not gonna come with DiMarzios or Duncans or anything like that. And they're actually okay. I'd say when I first got the guitar and I plugged it in before I changed the strings, I kind of was thinking, there's not a lot of great note articulation. It's not very clear. But then once I changed the strings and put on my normal D'Addario NYXLs, that definitely helped. I would say, though, that with the neck pickup, The lower strings, I wouldn't call them muddy, but you've got your typical kind of clarity issues with pickups at this price. So otherwise, I think the pickups are okay. They're kind of a medium output, and I'd say that's the one thing I would probably change on this guitar if I was going to put some money into it, is to upgrade the pickups, right? Other than that, I'm not sure there are any other specs worth calling out. And it's funny, I know someone in a review had talked about the volume and the tone knobs being too close together, but when I look at my other Les Pauls, yeah, they might be, but I don't think that's much of an issue because I'm not really playing with them, while I'm playing. Typically with like a Les Paul style guitar, usually I've just got them all up for the most part. I might use the volume knob to turn it down, but that's about it. Now, in terms of playability, right out of the box, the neck had a little too much bow on it, so I had to adjust that. Now, again, at this price point, I don't think you should expect a professional setup coming from the factory. And keep in mind, this comes from China. We'll talk about that in a second. But again, I just a little neck adjustment, and everything was good to go. Well, I did have to re-intonate, of course, after doing that. But now it feels really good. This neck feels, and the frets, really smooth. No sprout issues. The level of the frets seem good. There's no need to polish. It's just a very comfortable neck for me. It's got like a Gibson slim taper feel to it, but very smooth, kind of fast feeling neck. Really happy with that. Now, I mentioned China. These guitars are built in China, and it's interesting because I'm used to picking up Chinese-made guitars and feeling kind of either meh or not happy with the quality. But if this is indicative of where China's headed, I say watch out. Indonesia and all those other countries which we've been relying on for kind of mid-tier guitars. It's for the price. I'm very, very, very impressed. Okay, now I'm going to play a little bit for you guys. Not a lot, because honestly, I feel like at the end of the day, you can watch all these guitar reviews night and day, and the results are always going to be different for you, right? We all have different hands. We all touch the instrument differently. We all have, typically different gear. So we're all going to sound different. Okay, so it always seems kind of funny saying, hey, here's what the guitar sounds like, when who knows what it's going to sound like when you get it. And it's funny because I love watching like Pete Thorne do demos, but I always have to tell myself, oh, that sounds amazing, but it's Pete playing, so it's going to sound amazing anyway, right? Not that I'm comparing myself to Pete, right? I'm just saying we all are different, and it's all going to sound different when we pick it up. All right, let's go. All right, now let's talk about buying these guitars. Currently, the main place to get them is guitarsgarden.com. They're sort of the official distributor here in the US. and really the only authorized one. Now they will be selling on Amazon too, but I don't see them on Amazon. I've always seen them on guitarsgarden.com when I've watched, so I don't know who's selling them on Amazon. It could be guitarsgarden.com, I'm not sure, but those are typically the two places you go if you want to find these new and you don't want to deal with someone reselling it. Now, I've been watching guitarsgarden.com for the last 2 weeks or so since I got this guitar, and I've noticed that typically when they become available, within a few hours they all sell out. And I understand that some people sit there and they wait and they watch every day, and as soon as it becomes available, they go and grab it, right? That said, I noticed the last 2 days, there's been a pretty good inventory there on their website. Now, it does sell out pretty quickly, but I also have noticed the prices have gone up a little. Just a few weeks ago, this guitar sold for $180, and then there's $20 shipping. Now, just a few weeks later, they're selling for $190. Okay, so slowly it looks like, you know, they're probably increasing the prices. So keep that in mind. Now, in terms of, let's talk about the resellers. So I've noticed also that there are people on Reverb or eBay who will resell these anywhere from with a 50 to 100% markup on what they paid for it, which is kind of a douchebag thing to do, right? They're kind of preying on the hype of these guitars, and I just think that's pretty crappy. So my thoughts is, if you really want one, just be patient and wait and watch the website, and when they become available, grab it if you want one. Don't deal with the resellers. One, out of principle, okay? You don't want to condone that kind of thing and encourage it. And second, once you start paying upwards of $400 for these, I start to question, whether it makes sense. Because the whole point of these guitars is the dollar to value ratio at that, less than 200 price point. That's just fantastic. Once you get up into the 400 range or so, you're going to start competing with, the Epiphones and others, and you're going to have a lot more variety. So again, don't deal with the scalpers, as we call them, and just be patient if you really want one. All right, that was my video on the Firefly FFLPS guitar. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I would appreciate a thumbs up, and please hit that subscribe button if you've not done so already. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and I will attempt to answer them as time allows. Until next time, rock on.